as we mentioned, American prosecutors announced those terrorism charges against Hamas leaders. But to be clear, the U.S. really has no jurisdiction in the tunnels of Gaza. So what do you take from, one, the timing here and what this step actually means?
I understand some say it's probably virtue signaling, but I'm not sure what virtue we're signaling or what the value is. And especially as you've just mentioned a couple of times now, that 3 of the 6 people that we've charged are already dead. So I just don't understand what the value of this is and the timing. I suppose it could be related to the death of the American hostage, especially. But even then, I don't see what the value is. Who's going to benefit from this? And it just, frankly, seems a little thin of anything, because I mean the war has been going on for closing in on a year already. Hard to believe we're getting close to that. So Israel is already conducting its war. They obviously aren't going to stop, and they're trying to seek these same kind of people. So I just don't see how anybody in the United States benefits from this, or what the intent was.
Well, and it seems it's been hard for even pressure from President Biden himself to influence Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu anyway. So not sure if this, as you said, would move the needle at all. Now, another recent development that has a lot of people really concerned and raising the alarm to Israeli officials is that Hamas announced that if they know IDF troops are closing into an area where hostages are held, that they would be ordered to kill those hostages. This makes, them trying to push for a ceasefire deal. But people are worried now that if IDF tries to go rescue hostages, they're just going to end up with what we saw over this weekend, that horrible, tragic outcome. What's your reaction to that? And should IDF forces stop trying to rescue these hostages and work toward a deal?
Listen, everything is a dynamic situation, and every situation is different. Sometimes it makes absolute sense to try and have a force go in and try to rescue hostages if they can capture the hostage takers by surprise, etc. And there's no rational way to get them. That makes sense. But in a situation like we're in now, it doesn't make any sense, because you may remember there was a big force issue where the Israelis released they captured 3 of the hostages by force a month or 2 ago, and a lot of people were celebrating that. But even at the time, I was thinking, man, this is not good for the rest of the hostages, because I was thinking, if I'm the hostage holders, all the rest of them, then they're going to have a lot of motivation to make sure that never happens again. And then that's exactly what we see play out, because you could look at it from their perspective. These hostages are very valuable negotiating chips. I mean, they're not even people to these guys, and we have to understand that they're cold calculations. And if they see they're going to lose the hostages and lose their lives, then they have no motivation to keep the hostages alive. And I think that you're going to see that happen every time here forward, because there's no value for the Hamas side to do anything else.
Certainly a situation that we've heard families of those hostages still held in captivity, praying that that does not happen to them. Now, looking toward that ceasefire deal, it seems that militarily a sticking point right now is that Philadelphia corridor, that thin strip of land. It's only about a football field wide by about 9 miles, that Netanyahu would like IDF forces to stay in to stop weapons and Hamas from getting through that area. That seems to be holding up negotiations as far as, we know at this point. Militarily, based on your expertise, is there a way that both sides could come to a compromise as far as logistics in the Philadelphia corridor to get a ceasefire deal done?
Yeah. Without question, and I think that this just highlights, and we have to set aside all of our preferences and emotions and just look at this honestly and analytically. And if Israel wants a ceasefire, there's one to be had, because the Hamas side has been unequivocal in saying that they desire one, and you can understand why they would. But every time we've gotten close, the Israeli side puts in a situation that says, no, we won't do it unless we can have this on something they know is a big issue here. There are other ways militarily to try and make sure that corridor remains closed. And you see, that's what's motivating these hundreds of thousands of Israeli citizens who see the same thing. And they understand that if you want a negotiation, you can have it. You can get a ceasefire and get those hostages back, even if you have to pay a huge price in terms of number of Palestinian prisoners exchanged, etc. At this point, well, actually, for a long time, they don't care about that, because they say, look, where are they going to go? They're going to go into the Gaza Strip anyway, but we want our people out. And I think that if Netanyahu genuinely wants his people out, he can make a compromise on something like this that is not going to be, it's not something that you can't secure the Israel side only by that one strip. There are other ways to do it.